And good morning, and thank you for being here for day one of Brand Innovators. I'm Lisa Rosenberg, Global President of Consumer Brands at Allison Worldwide. I spend a lot of my time talking with marketing leaders about community, about culture, about how companies stay relevant over time. And I think there's no better place than here at South by Southwest and at Brand Innovators to be having this conversation. I'm joined by Cheryl Guerin, EVP Global Brand Strategy and Innovation at Mastercard. Cheryl has spent 25 years inside one of the world's most recognizable global brands, not just observing its evolution, but helping to lead it. And today, we're operating at a pace that rewards speed. Speed of reaction, speed of innovation, speed of visibility. But pace alone doesn't build brands that last. In a world moving this fast, endurance requires discipline. Discipline about where to invest, discipline about what to prioritize, and discipline about what must remain constant, even as everything evolves. Mastercard is one of the few brands that has reinvented itself repeatedly while staying unmistakably true to itself. So this morning, we're going to talk about brand stewardship, how you evolve thoughtfully, how you innovate with intention, and how you lead through change over time. So Cheryl, 25 years, long time. When you think about...
Now I feel old. Okay.
Equally with you. So when you think about the MasterCard that you joined and the MasterCard today, the company, the category, the customer, what has changed the most and what's remained constant?
I'm so excited to be with you today. And I said to Brandon, I can't believe so many people are here at 9 o'clock in the morning. So thanks for being here with us this morning. If I go back just a few more years before I actually started at Mastercard, if you go back almost 30 years to 1997, this was a brand that was void of any position, frankly. It was, we struggled through a multitude of campaigns, no brand identity. And this was a brand, frankly, that pre-Priceless that you know today, that, the issuers, it was the issuer's choice, a bank or a merchant's choice to put a MasterCard on the card. They choose. And if you were void of a brand, it was really hard to convince one of those decision makers to put MasterCard on the card versus, say, Visa as an example. So that's where we were starting off from. It was a category 25 plus years ago focused on consumption and materialism. And so something magical happened just about, 25, 27 years ago. And that was an insight that came about. And that insight was that signs of success and accomplishment were shifting from the material things in life to the intangibles in life. And MasterCard jumped on that. And Priceless was born. And we said that those purchases that people were making led to the priceless things in life. So the first ever spot, price at the purchase at a baseball game led to real conversation with the 11-year-old son. There's some things that money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And history was made. And we created a brand that was not only functional, but a brand that was emotional, a brand that cut through the clutter of the category, a brand that set a tone for how good marketing would be going forward. And that actually changed the game and built our business and our brand for the next 30 years to become, to come forward, and grew up, we grew the brand and business globally. What I would say stayed the same, right? You go fast forward that 25 years later. That insight, that experiences matter more than things, is more resonant than ever. So while we've evolved the brand, we stayed true to that. And we've built our trust, a focus on a purpose-driven brand, inclusion, and we focused on innovation throughout that 25 years, but always stayed true to that single insight throughout.
Cheryl, when you and I spoke, we talked a little bit about, the evolution of Priceless. I mean, when it started, it was about observing priceless moments. And then, it went to enabling priceless experiences. And now it's about inspiring them. Can you just unpack that a little for the group? Because I think that's a fascinating trajectory for the brand.
As much as we stayed core to that insight, you had to evolve, right? It was the most amazing advertising campaign when it launched. And in fact, we talk all the time about how we bring it back. We talk all the time about should we bring it back? Should we do it again? You never know what will happen. The fact is that the world changed. We don't, you don't just talk at people anymore. It's not just about shouting out. We have to cut through clutter. We do very little advertising now. So we moved from just observing priceless moments. We wanted to deliver tangible experiences. So we observed experiences for many years through our advertising. Then we actually created a product around experiences. Any Mastercard cardholder got access to the most amazing experiences in the world, and still do. And this was important to our business. We target consumers all around the world, and travel is one of our most important categories. So you could have an experience, a concert, an F1 race, whatever that might be, that's your biggest passion. You can experience that whether you're traveling or at home. And we do this all around the world. And so enabling experiences became our focus, not just your passion. You know what the best experience I've ever gotten for me is what I've gotten for my kids, right? Esports. I got my son, he got to play with, one of his favorite players that's out there. That was the best experience of his life, and he'll never forget it. Equally, I had one of my kids was, a ball shagger at an MLB All-Star game. These are amazing, once-in-a-lifetime experiences you cannot buy. So these are amazing things. So, these are the kinds of things that we enable. And so that was that stage. And then we move into inspiring experiences. And those are... in a world of creating impact and meaningful experiences in people's lives, how do you truly start something priceless? Priceless movements. Stand Up to Cancer. That's been something we've been doing for 15 years now. You use your card. We donate. You just use your card, and we stand up to cancer. It's just a simple behavior. And, we've donated over $70 million to stand up to cancer. And, FDA drugs have been created that have saved people's lives. So how do you inspire more priceless and meaningful connections in people's lives?
I think that's excellent. And when you think about other brands who've actually emulated what Mastercard has done in terms of creating experiences, now that is a huge piece of the loyalty game, but you guys were first. I wanted to talk a little bit about how you evaluate opportunities. We live in a world where there are so many different ways that we can continue to evolve and expand, whether it's across platforms, partnerships, emerging technologies. How do you evaluate what's true for Mastercard? What's right, what's wrong, what's a good fit?
You have to stay true to yourself, right? I think we actually do something with almost every possible technology that comes out. So there's not anything that we'll miss. We'll test and learn within literally everything. When Metaverse came along, we tested, we learned, we piloted. We don't want to miss anything. We want to get in early. We want to learn from it, and that enables us to actually determine if we want to scale, if we want to advance strategies. But it's what you do. We don't do it just to be cool, just to say that we're doing it. We'll do it on our terms. How does it fit authentically with your brand and what you're doing? And so a couple of examples in the AI space. Small business AI is one of those examples. It would be, we look at the technology and say, how do you have meaningful impact that fits with your brand? Small business, important constituent for us. We understand the insight. They want mentors. They stay open. Businesses stay open longer. And they have more success if they have mentorship along the way. yet only 25% of small businesses actually have a mentor. So what can we do? We immediately created a tool, an AI tool that embedded all of our capabilities to support small business, and we embedded real mentors into the tool that enabled a real-time, everyday access to a mentor. On top, that's just one example. Another example, and frankly, how do you evaluate it? I always use, it's head and heart, and I always lead with heart. Whenever I see something, I see an idea, do I feel something from it? And right here at South by Southwest, somebody came back, they saw another insight, started with an insight, came back and said, do you know that 85% of people who are blind don't read Braille? And do you know that our standard for people with low vision or blind people is a Braille card? We don't really have a good solution for people who are blind. And so we worked on a new solution for cards, and it was called a touch card. So when somebody actually reaches into their wallet, that's a blind person that needs their independence when they are actually out shopping, they have a touch card. So if it's a credit card, there's a notch that they could feel it, that it's squared off, it's the credit card. If it's rounded, it's their debit card. If it's a triangle, it's their prepaid card. And they don't have to ask somebody else to go into their wallet and find the right card for them. And we created the touch card.
Great examples. I mean, Mastercard is known for innovation, everything from multisensory branding, which I remember hearing about a number of years ago at Cannes, to products like TouchCard and TrueName. And I wanted to ask you how you ensure that innovation strengthens the brand and isn't a distraction.
Okay. So again, there'll be a common theme here. Everything we do, we run inspiration sessions all the time ahead of anything with innovation. So inspiration, innovation, it all starts with another I, insights. So all of this is understanding consumer behavior or business behaviors. How are people behaving? So even a simple branding innovation that I'll tell you about that you may know about, we looked at where are the behaviors going. People were moving from, to the small screen, which we all know today is your mobile phone, right? And we looked at our logo, which was the symbol logo with the name under it, Mastercard. When it went into the small screen, the Mastercard, you could barely see it. And we looked and said, everybody knows when they see that symbol, they know it's Mastercard. They see the colors, it immediately signals trust and experience, acceptance all around the world. And so we did what seemed like heresy, right? We said, we're going to drop the name from our logo. And we did. That's innovation, by the way. We did that. And we also said people are moving, audio is on the rise, smart speakers and audio commerce is on the rise. We have to create a new system for the brand. And so we didn't just create a jingle at the end of our ads. We created an audio system for commerce, a sonic branding system. So if your brand couldn't be seen, it would be heard. And so we created a sonic branding system. Now, fast forward in this age of Gen AI, we said, you go back, where can we create experiences and innovation that will drive preference for your brand, true differentiation and customer value prop? And AI gives us the ability to drive personalization. And so who doesn't want their own custom designed card? And so if you're a small business, imagine, or a creator, creating your own card design. If you're a consumer, you could create your own card design. So I said before, when we created Priceless, we had functional and emotional connection. Personalized cards does that. We've created, through Gen AI, a system, and imagine we've built in, like my team actually designs cards, beautiful designs. We've taken all of the capability that we have, and we've built it into a system, including compliance, where the logo has to go, where the chip has to go, all of the things that we do when we build cards. And we enable then our issuers to have their customers come into that system, and you could query. If you love golf, you could create, all the golf courses. I know you love St. Andrews. You could put that right on your card. If you love anime, you could create an anime card. You could upload a photo and put your dog on the card or your kids. And so and then it immediately goes into your digital wallet, and then the issuer can also enable you to print that. So that's just an example of how that works. But it's a great way to create connection to that and loyalty to your card product.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm going to make one. So I want to spend just a few minutes talking about you and your leadership style and how your leadership style has evolved over the years. You've led multiple reinventions of the brand and the company. What has changed and what has, remained the non-negotiables for you?
So when you talk about leadership style, I mean, there's obvious in this world right now. Obviously, every one of us has to have a learning agility. It's hard to be a leader if you're not learning, but that would be the obvious. I think what's happening now is my leadership style is much more leaning in and listening and learning from my team. Some of them know so much more than I do. And I think you have to be much more vulnerable as a leader. There's so many times I purposefully lean in and I say, tell me, I'll say to someone young on the team, we're talking about crypto capabilities. And I go to this crypto expert on my team. You tell me if I'm saying something that's not going to be relevant in the community you know so well, tell me. And I think you just have to be more vulnerable and lean in, and that's one part of it. Just being more vulnerable and listen more than tell or direct. And that's one. And two, I don't know about everybody here, but there's many more choices now as a leader. There's many more channels. There's much more to do. And we're not getting a ton more money. Like, there's a lot more to do now. You have to do AEO now. You have a lot more things you need to create, ton more innovation to happen. Here's a ton more money. Go for it. That's not happening. So I think, as you said, we have to move fast, but you have to be a lot more discerning. You have to be choiceful. So I think leadership now is more than ever deciding what you do and don't do, and how you connect back to your business, how you innovate with intention, and make the proper choices that are going to help you scale and drive your business forward.
So we're so well prepared. She just answered my last question.
I skipped the question.
No, she skipped the question, but she answered. And really, I hope that you all take away, what Cheryl said in terms of the muscles that you need to strengthen at a time when you have to be disciplined because the world is moving so quickly. And what stands out, from our conversation and the conversations we had as we prepared for this is that endurance really isn't about resisting change. It's about guiding it. It's about knowing what must evolve and what must remain constant. And in a world that is moving at the pace that it moves, discipline isn't restraint, it's leadership. And that's a powerful way to start day one at Brand Innovators. So I thank you for your time, and I want to open it up to our audience, see if they have questions for you.
So my question is, as we're talking about innovation and the speed of it, when you're thinking about branding, how do you bring consumers along with you? Because some lean in or are very excited about new Gen AI and tools, and some are a little bit more hesitant and resistant to change. So how do you think about bringing your consumers along with you?
I think it's the same way you have to think about, it's the same way we've always thought about payments even. When we talk about payments, it's about choice. There will be people, right? If I tell you, we have to remember, like, if I just think about, so many people didn't use online shopping until COVID hit. You can't take away what people choose to do. You have to give them choice. And so, people can use cards. They could use their watch. They could shop online. You could use crypto. You could use stable coins. You could use soon to be agentic commerce. You could choose whatever you want. You could tap, you could use your phone to pay. We're going to give you choice, but whatever we do, we're going to do it right and make sure it's safe, secure, easy to use, and you have peace of mind doing it. So I think we can't run and say the old stuff is gone, in with the new. You have to remember that different people want different things. So it's always about that choice. By the way, that creates inclusion too, and I think that's most important as well.
So it sounds like your internal team is doing a lot of the work and a lot of the driving, but obviously you have agency help as well. So when you are working on rolling out these new ideas, these new products, first of all, how does that work with your agency relationships? And then what is your best piece of advice for brands that are working on innovation and how they get along with their agency partners?
Yeah, it's a good point. Our agencies, especially when I just told you the story of Priceless from 30 years ago, McCann has been our agency for 25 years, came up with that idea, and is still our creative agency that we work with. We still did just last week what we call, like they do, to call it a rumble. We're in it right now on a big project where they're all ideating like over the course of this week, and we're seeing big ideas next week. They're there with us when we do these inspiration challenges and we sit and we look at the insights. Our team comes up with ideas, our agencies come up with ideas. And so I think it's really important. What I find really important is, I would say years ago, maybe we left it only to our agencies to come up with ideas. Now, I say anyone could come up with ideas, and it's really important that the muscle was built for our internal teams as well, that they're learning, they're inspired, and I just see a very different team that's hungry based upon the fact that they're in that game too, and they're not just leaning on the agencies for that, but they're a very important constituent. And then we lean on them for execution when we can't do it as well, right? There's certain things we could do, and we will always lean on our agencies for big, giant, beautiful, creative. That's what we expect from them.
Super. Well, thank you all. We hope we started your morning off with some really great insights. And thank you to Cheryl and to Brand Innovators.